welcome back to Selena's Table and our little Aussie homestead, and a big welcome to all my new subscribers. It's lovely to see that the channel's getting out there. So we made it back into the garden today. I'm thrilled. It's been nothing but humid, wet weather for me for quite a while. So I'm really glad to be out here. And I want to show you what I've gotten done so far in the lead up to our primary growing season. And also, yeah, just show you how things have changed out here. So if you're new, there's two entrances to my vegetable garden. One's here and the other one is the big arbor up the back. I usually go through whichever one I'm closest to at the time. What I've got going on is I've pulled out most of my flowers in preparation of getting my beds ready to grow again. We had a cyclone run through and it didn't damage my property. We weren't coastal enough for that, but it did bring a lot of rain and we had a lot of humidity. And the thing is, about 2 weeks before that cyclone, I had planted my seeds that I was hoping would be sprouted by now. What happened with that humidity, with that rain, is that so many of my seeds either rotted in the ground or basically washed away. So what I've had to do is I've bought some seedlings. I'm also going to start sowing more seeds, okay? I want, through autumn, through winter, we do get cold, but we don't get frost and we don't get snow or anything like that. It's not like cold compared to other parts of the world. It's just cold for us. But it's great for growing. The humidity's way lower. It's just a far more pleasant time to be in the garden. So autumn, which we're now in, winter and spring, that's our growing time. Summer for me, I've tried year after year after year, and it is just too hot. Okay, so as I did that experiment this past summer where I grew primarily just some flowers, a couple of things underground, the only tomatoes we had growing were like cherry tomatoes that had popped up on their own, and I've still got the bare remnants of that here. All right, there's not much left. We've had some pineapples, but yeah, primarily through winter is when we're going to grow things. So I like to get started before the cold comes because I do want my seeds to germinate well. Now, normally I direct sow as well when I'm doing gardens. At this time of the year, I direct sow. When I'm planning out to plant for sort of spring or later winter, getting that last bit in before the summer heat, I do put those into seed trays. I will be doing some seed trays as well, simply because it's cheaper to grow from seed than it is to buy ready grown seedlings for me. And I'll show you this. And this here, for example, there's a whole row here of cabbage, but I've got 1, 2, 3, right? And I planted heaps in there, way more than the space allows. I planted way more than that space would allow so that I could thin them out. I wanted good germination rates. Again, they were some seeds that I planted before the humidity really ramped up a notch. So I'm going to run you through, show you probably a lot of bare dirt, but also going to tell you what's going in where, how I'm doing my garden this year. I'm doing it a little differently to how I've done it in the past, and I've also got some things have moved around. So come with me. Welcome if you're new. Welcome if you're not new too. Thank you to everyone who's been here for this journey this whole time. Anyone who's just found me, I primarily cook, okay? So I do a lot of cooking. I was a trained chef, but I have been a stay-at-home mum for many, many years, and that is where I do most of my cooking now. I am not a horticulturalist, okay? I've done no study in horticulture. Everything I'm growing is 100% trial and error, okay? I'm in a subtropical climate. I'm in Queensland in Australia, and it's hot and it's humid. And I find my seed packets are liars, okay? For me, for where I live, seed packets I can't trust them. So I have trial and errored my entire vegetable garden for the past, I've been growing for about 4 or 5 years, but really getting into it in the last sort of 3 years. So that's where I am, that's what I'm doing. And so I'm not showing you my garden as a way of teaching so much because I'm experienced. It's more a case of I'm showing your garden, you my garden. I want to encourage anyone who feels discouraged. If I can do it, you can do it, because I am not, again, a horticulturalist. Everything I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm failing. Trust me, I'm failing. I don't show all the fails, but I'm failing as well. And I'm trying to keep the garden tours, the garden harvests, all that as honest as possible, because I know what it's like to watch people who seem to have it all together when it comes to gardening, and just scratching my head going, well, what am I doing wrong? So I'm going to show things that have worked, things that have failed, the weeds, the grass, right? I'm showing you it all. This is an honest garden tour. And it will continue to be an honest garden tour, okay? Because I want to encourage people, start somewhere if it's something you want to do. So let's go. So from this first gate, we have our first blueberry, and this one got scorched by the sun, as you can see. But we've got some buds. We've got some buds here, so I'm thinking not is all lost. Not is all lost. This needs to be repotted. There is a huge gap between my soil and my plant, and these were potted at the top here. So I've got one desperately hanging on for life, strawberry. I'm probably going to pull that out as well. They need to be repotted, and I am questioning whether I try and throw those in the ground. Heavy red clay is what I live with, and I have tried many times years ago to grow directly in the ground, and it has not worked. The only thing that seems to really want to grow in my ground are my pineapples. The fruit trees are finally doing well up the back, and I'll show you those in a little bit, but I don't know if the blueberries are going to like the ground. I think they like acidic soil. From what I heard, you put your coffee grinds on them, and I've been doing that, and we got some blueberries last year. So I'm thinking I might try and put them in the ground and see how we go, especially that one that looks like it's half dead. Our second blueberry here looks much healthier, and you can even see we've got coffee grinds in the bottom there. This is an elderberry, but I think it didn't like summer because it's dead. We've got a pineapple there. I don't know if you can see it there. The birds have had a crack at that one, but it is growing. We've got some other pineapples here. Yeah, we've got pineapples here. These are all in the ground, and yes, it's full of grass, but that's because I've actually got two. There's one there, and there's one there. So the grass around here likes to grow, and the grass around here is invasive, okay? It's not like the lawn we've got around the front of the house. It's horrid grass. It's terrible. And I will be cleaning that up. I'm going to do that when the weather cools down. Because the other thing you get in subtropical Queensland is snakes, and we get a lot of snakes. And it's got nothing to do with the state of the garden as such. It's got to do with the fact that we're surrounded by farms. So it's not a lot of development here, and you know, there's not a lot to prey on them, I guess. So we get the snakes, we move them along. We try to keep low, like the low grass cut, but it's inevitable that they show up here and there, and I'm terrified of them. So don't think I'm not anything like Steve Irwin. I am going to run away from them. And I do have carrots to harvest today, and hopefully I don't pull any up with that, because that was the last time I had a run-in with snakes, was I was pulling up carrots. So I didn't know they lived underground. Apparently they do here. Over here we have some of the last of our zinnias. I'm leaving them there because I'm just trying to keep any bees that are around coming. We have asparagus. I need to trim this back because I actually need to move this bed. So we are working on finishing our veranda. As you can see, some of the work has started, and that's going to mean that these beds here, this one and the one my herbs are in, are way too close. Okay, so I want to move those on now that that part of our house will be finished. So I'm going to be putting them up with others. I'll show you where I'm going to put them in a moment. The bay tree's growing. This is where we grew our dahlias, or a majority of them this year. And what I've done is I have topped up my bed with sheep manure, cow manure, and mushroom compost. I have sprinkled some sugarcane mulch on top because where we are, we need to retain as much moisture as we can into the ground. The sun is going to zap it pretty quickly. In here, I sprinkled carrot seeds, and I sprinkled something else. And for the life of me, I can't remember what it was now. So we'll see. We'll see what comes up. I've got my giant rosemary growing, which is just divine. I love rosemary. Apparently rosemary helps with your pests too. So if you're new thinking, what do I plant? Actually, if you're new thinking, what do I plant? Plant herbs to begin with. Because if you like to cook, herbs are expensive to buy and they will elevate your food. Okay, so herbs, they're great. They're the gateway plant. Okay, start with your herbs and then move up to the vegetables. This down here, this is the majority of the herbs that are left, and some weed. Okay, I've allowed a lot of this bed has sunken. Again, I need to dig these up and transplant the whole bed and the herbs to a new spot in the garden. This bed here that I already started showing you, I did put my cabbage. I put some sprouting broccoli. Sorry if I don't say my words right. And we have got some life. Now, this bed also has a lot of rock and gravel in it. Where did that rock and gravel come from? I don't know. The last top up we did in this bed was direct litter out of the chicken coop. So I'm not sure if there was rock up in there at some stage and it's gotten shoveled in with the manure and the wood chip that we use up in there. We didn't intend to put rocks in our bed, and I would suggest not having rocks in your bed from what I've experienced anyway. They can be a bit of a hindrance. We didn't top this bed up entirely, and that was a mistake I should have. So what I'm trying to do is at the end of, or at the beginning, I guess, of every growing season, or the end of every planting when I'm going to plant new things, is I like to top up my beds because the dirt disappears over time, and I'm topping them up with 50-50 mixture of mushroom compost and manure. Now, I have been in the past buying the worst manure possible, and I didn't know that until recently. So I'm changing the manure I'm buying, and I'm hoping to see better results this year. Okay, so I've also put in a couple of little tiny pumpkins. These will be either the baby blue or the baby boo, so little tiny white ones. And that was just to sort of see if they would grow. This bed is always kind of a bit of a mystery because the soil here just isn't as good as in some of the other beds. It seems to be full of rocks. Okay, over here, my lettuce, or my salad bar, I'm calling this one my salad bar. We've got lettuce that we did manage to keep alive through summer, and it's all bolted, as you can see. So most of it is going to come out. I have got new lettuce, but these are seedlings that I bought, and even then we're getting some scorch going on. There's some zinnias that have popped themselves up in here. And what I'm going to do is try and keep these lettuce alive and get more lettuce here where we have none. I did try and put some carrot seeds in here. I think actually my young kids were helping me with that. And so we have a little tiny cluster there of carrots. And on the corner, if this, move this guy out of the way, there's some rocket. So I have in a row here planted rocket as well. Also, so we call it rocket, but I think other countries call it arugula or something along those lines. That's there. So that's my salad bar. That brings us from the salad bar on this side to a carrot bed on this side. I need to get all these carrots out. Some of them have gone to flower, so I'm not sure if they're going to be great eating. We're going to keep them anyway. I'm not going to throw them out. And I've got some chives in here. So this bed needs to be harvested. I want to get all of these out of here. I have been harvesting carrots as I've needed them. So, you know, just a handful at a time. And it's worked really well for us this past sort of growing season. Sort of, and when I say growing season, I mean from last sort of winter through the summer months to where we are at now. I do need to plant some more carrots because I need to pull out what I've got in here. I need to get those beds ready. And yeah, I don't think I have enough to get me through until the next lot will be ready, because I do need to sow carrots as well. But yeah, so those carrots are coming out. That bed needs to be topped up and replanted. This year I'm growing things a little more haphazardly. I've seen videos of other people who are gardening, and I have looked on multiple internet websites to find out what's the best way to have healthy plants, minimum effort, because I don't have time to be out here dealing with the pests. Pests are huge when you've got subtropical climates. They thrive on the moisture, I think, in the air or something, I don't know. So that brings us to this bed, and what I've done here, these were seeds I grew, and they did come up and they did survive, and they are zucchini in a row here. I have dispersed some lettuce in amongst that, and I've also got beans. So each one of these sticks has 2 beans were planted, so one on either side, in the hopes that at least one would come up and survive and do well. So I've got some beans popping up, and I am noticing the colour of the leaves is a little yellowish, and I think that might be the fact that it's just had a lot of rain, a lot of humidity. Look, we've got a little caterpillar. You're out of here. You know, pests are already moving in. This dark soil that you see exposed, so that's some sheep manure that I have just spread around to try and get things growing, and try and fix the waterlogged state, I guess. So we have our zucchinis. I've put 2 in each hole, so I need to cull them and spread them out. I've got beans popping up, some lettuce dispersed in between. Here, just starting to come to life, we have some baby lettuce. Move you out of the way. My cucumber has definitely seen better days. This cucumber survived summer, and it did well. We had lots of beautiful cucumbers. But the grasshoppers have come. They have feasted. The caterpillars have come and feasted. I have planted more cucumber at the base on either side, but they haven't popped up, so I'm assuming they rotted out. Again, zucchinis, which I need to separate. More carrots I need to harvest because we've gone to seed, and I didn't want these to be seed carrots. So I need to start remedying this bed as well. More manure just spread around the base of a tomato that grew itself and has flowered. We have some of these little capsicums. They are called a banana, a sweet banana variety, I believe, was what they were. And some have gone red. They are a yellow type. You can hear my chickens in the background. That's another one. These orange ones, you would have seen me if you've seen other garden videos. These ones are chilies, and they are delicious but hot, and they are ready to be harvested again. We have a random dill, And we have some marigolds that have also seen better days. Here I have some choy. I think it's bok, it might be pak, but it's one of the choys there. And I've grown those. So I've deliberately put those in next to the chili and next to the marigold, because last year when I had the choy in the ground, the pests came really heavily for it. So this year I've put some hopeful pest barriers up around it. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. That's another experiment. It worked well for me last year. I was able to grow cabbage without any problems, and in the past that has been a big problem for pest, and it was because I had nasturtiums nearby, but far enough away to attract the cabbage moth. I also had chilies, and I had dill, and I had something else. Might have been onion or garlic nearby. They did fantastically. Over this side, so there's our choy. We've got a couple of capsicums that have seen better days. I'm just leaving them for now. I might trim them back, see if I can get them back to sort of this, because we are getting another flush of flowers. This side, we got some snow peas started, and I'm so glad to say they are growing. They look good. We've just got a bit of Rio here as our trellis that we will have to encourage those up. We lost one to some little hungry critter, but apart from that, that's looking good. They're only a couple of weeks old too, so snow peas, another wonderful thing to grow if you're new to growing. Here we have our cayenne chili, and it is looking beautiful and full of fruit again. And I'm leaving that there. And I've also got nasturtiums here. Here we have some little zinnias popping themselves up again. I'm going to let flowers grow if flowers want to grow. Yeah, so this is hopefully going to be a bit of a pest control situation. I am once again having a go at corn. So this is all sweet corn, and all of this corn was purchased as seedlings, okay? Everything I've read says grow corn in blocks, not rows. So that's what I've tried to do there. And if you have, I don't know if I've actually told you before, but corn and I are not friends. I love corn. I always try to grow corn, and I've grown some beautiful glass gem corn in the past. It was very small, but it was beautiful. I seem to not be able to get a lot of corn, and it might be where I'm growing, or it might be me. I'm not sure. So we're trying again. Every time I try to grow corn from seed, I have the magpies and the crows come and they find them and they eat them. So that's why I bought seedlings and didn't bother with corn seed. This is just maybe not corn growing country. I don't know. I'm not sure. Down here, so my corn's up there. Down here, we have a row dead through the center, and then over here you can sort of see, so these are some onions that I've started from seed already. We have tomatoes, different varieties. That one there is, I believe, a green one, but we'll wait and see because I didn't label anything. I never seem to label anything. We have another tomato, so there's a little group. These stakes, these sticks in the ground, they represent my tomatoes, so I'll tie my tomatoes to those. I've also sprinkled some flower seeds just randomly to try and encourage the good insects, the ones you want. I did put calendula in the corners, but they haven't popped up, so I'm not sure if they are even going to pop up. Over here, these tomatoes are obviously happy. And then I have put a nasturtium there. So I found a cheat sheet on Pinterest, and I will make sure I link it to this video. I didn't make this sheet, I just found it, and that's what I'm using as my sort of companion planting guide, I guess, this year. My raspberries, I think they're dead. Maybe they're not dead, maybe they go to sleep. I'm not sure. They probably need some help, let's be honest. Okay, in this barrel I have planted Jap pumpkin. Jap pumpkin is the one I seem to be able to grow the easiest, and pumpkin grown through winter for me tends to do better because we don't get the fruit fly come and destroy every piece of fruit. So I've planted it in this barrel. I've got 2 plants there, nasturtiums in the middle, with the hopes that it's going to just grow along my fence line. I'm going to try and keep that tidier this year and have it contained. Over here, my basil is doing beautifully. I need to give that a good harvest because, as you can see, it's gone to seed. We have 3 new capsicum. Again, these were bought as seedlings, so they were ready to go straight in. And the reason I bought seedlings instead of seeds is because the seeds rotted away that I had planted, because I like to get my capsicum started pretty early on. I've got nothing behind it yet, so I've got to decide. I'm going to check that cheat sheet again, what I'm going to plant in here. This here I needed to show you. This is my current experiment. What it is, as you would know, if you've been with me for a while, I had onions in there last winter growing, and it got overrun with grass, and not the kind of grass you can just pull out, the kind of grass that just invades everything. So it was runners. I tried to dig it out multiple times, nothing worked. So my experiment is I have laid thick black builder's plastic over the top of the whole bed. So I pulled out everything like the zinnias and things like that that were tall and easy to sort of get out of the ground. I've pulled those out. I have chopped it short, and then I have laid that black plastic over the top, put it down into the ground, like I've put logs down into the ground to hold it down. I'm hoping the black plastic, the scorching heat, this is going to kill everything under there so that I don't have to dig up the entire bed and start again. This is an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work. I can show you what it looks like underneath. I'm a little hesitant because, again, the wriggle sticks, right? They could be under there. They like to get under everything. But I'll have a look. Let's have a look. I'll show you. Let's see how it's going. It's been about 2 months, okay? So it's been hot, it's been wet, and yeah, let's have a look. Hopefully there's no snakes. I'm not going to pull the whole thing off, but I'll show you what's going on under here. All right, it's going to need longer. I can smell rotting grass, so that's good, but I can still see green, which is not good. So I want, like, that's still, it's not dead enough for me. So I don't know, maybe I need to water it and then recover it. Like I said, this is an experiment to see what will happen, to see if I can save myself having to dig out everything in this bed. But it's obviously not been long enough. This is a new bed, which I'm going to bring you back to. Over here, we have herbs, and most of them have done pretty well. New coriander here, or cilantro, depending on where you're from. We call it coriander. Parsley, chives, there's another little one there. They are getting hot though, so I don't know if this is the best spot for my herbs. These capsicums need to come out. They're done, and we've got the grass coming in. So I need to sort this bed out before it ends up looking like the other one. This one was down the bottom near the first gate. So I need to fill this one up with dirt, but I'm going to put some black plastic, some thick builder's plastic underneath this bed. And I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have plastic under my beds, but because of the grass that I'm dealing with here, it's just what I'm going to try next, okay? And it's what I've done with this bed here that I'm showing you. I have put black builder's plastic down, and I've put this bed here to try really hard to start counteracting the grass that no matter how deep or tall my gardens are, that grass comes through. This here is the bed I'm talking about, and you can see the black plastic in the bottom here. This is thick builder's plastic. This bed I'm also doing on an angle, so if you can see, so I've put my single sleeper bed on the top, and then on the bottom it's not full size on this end. Full size on that end, not full size this end, because we're on a slope. And that's the other thing I noticed with these two beds, because putting these two here was a bit of an experiment for me. I didn't want to put the effort in to have them level up, and I've definitely paid the price because the dirt sinks away. Yeah, it's just, there's a whole lot of problems if you don't level it out at least slightly. So these two are on an angle, they're going down the hill, and this one here is nice and leveled out. And this bed is recycled from down the bottom there. There was a bed there. I've taken that bed out and I've moved it up here because, again, I'm trying to get things a little bit further away from the house. This has got some nasturtiums. This is the soil that was in the bed originally. So all I've done is move it up here, wheelbarrow up my soil. The Rio is simply sitting there so I don't poke myself in the eyes when I'm mowing, and it will end up holding peas or something as well. And the nasturtiums, well, they'll come out because I need to top this bed up. I do have, my soil has arrived. It's in my trailer, which is right here. It's under this blue tarp. So what I've got is a 50-50 combo of mushroom compost and garden soil. So under here, we went and got this last night. We have mushroom compost on this side, and on this side we have garden soil. So the garden soil from the landscape store, the landscape shop, isn't always the best. Especially, it depends on what sort of landscape yards you've got. But what I do is I always get a mixture of 50-50 mushroom compost, 50-50 garden soil, and then I'll be topping my beds up with manure and more mushroom compost. And so far it's been okay. So that's the one I've been buying, but it's not the one I'm going to get anymore. I'll still be getting the same brand, which is Fine Farms. But I'm getting their pure manure, manure. So that one there is a blend, and it's got other things in it other than manure. So I'm not going to buy that one anymore. I'm only buying pure manure. My banana trees, they're growing more baby trees again. So I need to come in here. Again, I'm going to wait till it cools down a little now to get that sort of cleaned up and have a hierarchy of 3 where I have an adult, a like juvenile, I guess, and then a baby plant. I've got empty beds still I need to get some seeds into, is one of them. And what I'm thinking is I might transplant my raspberries into this bed here and get a trellis system happening so that we can have them live there with a little bit more space. The garbage can needs to go, it's empty. The Rockmelon, last time I brought you on a garden tour, I thought this was some kind of pumpkin. This is not a pumpkin. This is a rockmelon. I've had 3, and if you're following on Instagram, I have shown on there a couple of times, but this one is really big. So my rockmelon, the first one was definitely not ripe, and I went with the tendril being dry, like I would with a pumpkin, but it wasn't ready. The second one, the skin had changed and been more this sort of color, so I picked it. And it was orange on the inside, but it wasn't ripe. This one is way bigger for a start. And my husband researched and he said, if we push on this, it should want to break away. So, was that too soon? I don't know. It's harvested now. All right. It has had a caterpillar or something has tried to feast. But look at the sort. This is bigger than my head. I don't have a huge head, but you know, that's a big rockmelon. I mean, it smells like a rockmelon. Stick around. I will open this in the kitchen one day soon. If you're not on Instagram, I'll make sure that link is, it's usually in the bottom of the video somewhere. I'll say, follow me on Instagram. And so if you go onto Instagram, sometimes I just put these little like behind the scenes things, I guess, everyday life sort of stuff goes on there. Like when I'm just heading out into the garden to pick something and I'll show you like a flower or something. That's cool. Okay, I did not plant rockmelon. If you're new, I didn't plant rockmelon. Okay, so I buried some compost at some point. I didn't even know there were rockmelon seeds in there. All these little plants started popping up and I'm like, what is this? The bed had nothing in it at the time, so I just like pulled most of them out, let 2 grow and walked away. And I thought they were pumpkin. And if you go back to my last garden video, which was a while ago now when I think about it, you should see this vine when it was a baby. And yeah, it turned out it was a rockmelon. So this is free food and I'm thrilled about it. Next to my rockmelon, I've planted more beans, which aren't doing well, and some more lettuce. Again, I'm dispersing food throughout in amongst other things, not just planting rows and rows of like the one thing. That takes up nearly my whole basket. I need to pick some passion fruit because they are growing, and I had some on the ground and I thought I'll get those tomorrow. But what's happened is someone else has come along. I'll show you. So once again, we've got someone else, probably rodents, eating our harvest. So this here, this absolute mess of grass, and there is actually a timber and metal structure in there. That whole mess is going to be disappearing this winter. I am getting rid of all of it. We are going to make this cleaned up. But that's not happening today. I'm going to carefully come along. Today I'm going to carefully come along and pull passion fruit. This is a yellow Panama. It's a yellow Panama passion fruit. You can pick it when it's slightly green. Really yummy. I actually prefer these to the purple ones. And for some reason they grow here better than the purple ones. So I'm always careful if I'm near the long grass. If they fall to the ground, I'll still grab them. There we go. So I'm not worried that we've got blemish marks. They don't, whatever does that doesn't tend to get into the fruit at all. So I don't seem to have a problem with the fruit being bad when they Oh, when they look like that. Look at the size of that rock melon. Like, come on, it is huge. This is a big basket. That one's got something. I don't know if that's a disease or some kind of bug. When I've opened them and they've looked like that, they've still been fine to eat, so. Okay, and that's the end of the passion fruit vine, thankfully. It's not taking over too much this year. There's one hiding. There we go. A basket of rockmelon and passion fruit there. Got some fruit to get us through. Great thing about passion fruit is you don't have to eat it all at once. You can just freeze it. So what I'll do is I'll cut them open, pop them into little zip bags and pop them in the freezer, and then come like Christmas time when we want to have something tropical and fruity, like drinks, cheesecakes, you know, like I put passion fruit in a lot of things, but we don't seem to actually get the fruit at Christmas. I just pull some out of the freezer and it's perfect. Delicious to just eat it as well. I grew up just living off passion fruit. If you haven't had passion fruit, because I realize not everyone has, you don't eat the skin. You need to pop the skin open. And I'm just going to squeeze this one. Okay. What you eat is that yellow, pulpy, seedy part. Okay. They're like little bubbles. Delicious. You need you probably want to use a spoon, but really yummy. If you're not growing passion fruit and you live in an area that could grow passion fruit, why not grow some passion fruit? This is one passion fruit vine. And yes, it's taken over a bit and it's growing on top of a Murraya hedge. And the hedge was planted to try and just shade my garden just a little bit from the awful sun. The sun that is just blisteringly hot. That's the western side as well. So we just wanted to give the things we're growing here just a little bit of shade. So we're growing this Murraya hedge. The fence is up to try and keep the kangaroos and things out. We do have a lot of kangaroos here. And they'll come in and they'll just harvest absolutely everything you're growing really quickly. So the fence is for the kangaroos, the hedge is for the sun, and you know, I put the passion fruit in the ground hoping it would grow. Again, it grew. So there's another thing that'll grow in my red clay. And I'll just pull all that off once it starts to look a bit dead, and you know, the fence will be fine and the hedge will be fine. I have another passion fruit growing up behind the little cubby house, and it's in a pot like the barrel, just to try and put it in a different spot for next season. So I'm going to set this fruit aside. We're going to pull out all the carrots. Okay, I'm just going to pull all the carrots, even if some of them are small. I'm going to wash them outside. I did learn my lesson from last time I was growing carrots, and I took them all inside to wash them. That was a mistake. I've found that I can store carrots in my fridge for a couple of months if I wash them really well outside, pull the green off outside as well, and I just store my carrots once they're washed in a large sort of freezer bag in the like vegetable drawer of my fridge, and it seems to be yeah, they're holding up well. They're doing well. I don't peel them until I'm actually going to use them, but these ones are getting old. They've got lots of fine roots on the edges. If they're too small, I'm just going to throw them straight to the chickens. I don't have the patience to deal with tiny carrots at the moment. The other thing I've found is growing carrots with a bit of sand in the soil is helpful. That's a nice decent one. There's a coloured one. I thought I had some coloured ones in here. Nice long yellow one. Another yellow one. So I'm just taking the tops off of my carrots, putting them in the garden, trying to pull off some of the root, like the fine roots. Like I said, these are pretty old carrots. They're not maybe going to be the best, but they're still carrots that we've grown from home. They're still organic, and I'm still happy with that. So I'm just taking the tops off, I'm putting them in the garden, I'm putting all my carrots in the basket here so that I can wash them on the bed of tops. Then all the water is going to stay in this garden bed. I will top this bed up, and I'll probably just leave the tops underneath the new like dirt that I put on top, so they can rot away under the ground. Some of these are well and truly gone. So they're going to the side because I'll take those up to the chickens. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm crouched down over here. I'm taking off tops, creating a spot that I can wash these carrots before I put them back in their basket to bring inside. And I do have not a huge order, but I do have an order of seeds coming because I did use a lot of my seeds that I ended up losing to the weather. So I've got more seeds coming, and I have got coloured carrots in there coming too. So I'm excited to grow coloured carrots again. I find that coloured carrots do better here in the winter. They seem to be not so happy through summer, although, you know, in saying that, that's a nice big yellow one. But I do think I planted that last winter, to be honest. These carrots have been in the ground for a long time. And probably should have been harvested ages ago, but it is what it is. Anything we don't eat anyway will go to the chickens, so nothing's going to be wasted regardless. But I do grow the food for us, not for the chickens. So there we go. I did fill that large basket with carrots just from this bed. There's all the tops and some of the little ones that I'm going to wash on top of. The bed needs to be topped up. It needs manure. It needs some love. And there's some little ones for the chickens. I have carrots over here that have also started to go to seed. So I will collect these as well, and I'll wash them over with the others so that I won't have any carrots currently growing, but I will have a lot in the fridge inside, and I might even can some of these ones as well. Sorry about that. That's my neighbour doing some woodwork by the sound of it. So I'll get these carrots harvested as well, and yeah, keep going from there. Look at that one, much bigger. Okay. Try and leave the dirt here, but I have a basket there so that I can take the tops off and put them all in. Oops, the one bed. Oh, that one's big. Look at the size of this carrot. Okay, now look at the size of this carrot. Again, that's as big as my head. That's huge. I love harvesting carrots. I love growing carrots. I love the taste of fresh carrot. It's significantly better, in my opinion, to anything I've bought, including organic. Just love it. Don't always love what I have to harvest with them, but you know, growing your own food it's fun. And I'm going to tell you something, this is still a learning experience for me to grow food. My very first garden was little tiny pots. Okay, I had little tiny pots on my veranda and I tried to grow tomatoes. They didn't do so well. I also was just using standard potting mix from the hardware store, so wasn't really investing in dirt, knew nothing about feeding my plant. The next garden I had was in the ground, and it was, I'm trying to think how big it was. It was small. It was small. It was equivalent to 1.5 of this bed. So it was 3 little beds, like 1, 2, and then a third one. And I tried to grow everything with that as well for my family. And that did better. That I did grow my first ever rainbow beetroot in that. And rainbow beetroot are like the golden ones. There's white ones. There's red and white ones. And just plain red ones. That was fun. But I had like four of each of those, and that, you know, I thought it would be enough. So I haven't always had a big garden like this, and even though I've been trying to grow food since I was quite young, those first gardens were, I'm still learning, and I just want to encourage anyone who wants to try. You don't have to have a huge property, and you don't have to have all this money invested in it either. You can start with something really small and just enjoy growing something, anything. So that huge basket of carrots is what we've harvested today. I'm going to get them washed. So there we go, they've had their first wash. They will get washed again inside before I bag them, but yeah, that worked well. So there's a way to wash them, keep the dirt in the water in the dirt, and the tops can stay out here. I did want to get that dirt, the compost and the garden soil started to be put into my garden bed today, but it looks like it wants to start raining on me, so I might have to come out tomorrow and do that. So there's one more thing I'm going to harvest before I head in, and that's just some citrus that we've got growing in the food forest up the back. So I'm going to get the dirt from my wheelbarrow into that garden bed tomorrow. Once this weather sort of passes over, I want to grab some citrus while I'm out here and show you something else I've discovered. When my seeds arrive, I will start sowing those, the new seeds, and any other seeds that I've got that I'm wanting to grow. And hopefully by then, some things will be sort of getting up in a bit of height, like lettuce and things like that. Yeah, so I'm going to show you something very exciting, all right? So we've had this fruit sort of orchard growing for the past 8.5 years, but not all of them. So some of the trees are newer. This tree here is one of our newest ones, and it is 3.5 maybe years old, and it has got its very first pears. Now, I don't know if we're living in a climate that really should be growing pears. I still bought the fruit tree, I still put it in the ground, and I was so very excited when I came out here yesterday and I saw that we have our first pears. So even if they don't mature, even if they don't turn out like something you want to eat, I think they're adorable, and to be honest, they'd make beautiful floral decorations. And there's some more here. And there's even one right up there. I don't know if you can see it because the glare in the sun, but there is our very first pears with ants, so that's not a good sign, but pears. So here we have some ruby grapefruit, and I just want to grab a couple, and you can see they are, this tree is loaded. They're all hiding underneath, but it's loaded with fruit. That one there. So these are beautiful, beautiful ruby grapefruits. And I just want to grab a couple of those. And I've only got my small basket left. So carrots take up the other one. So I just want 3 of them. I want to get a couple of lemons and a couple of limes. This is our lime tree, and the limes are getting really beautiful. And the lemon, grabbed one. The lemon has a bit of a black spot on it at the moment. Just going to get a couple of those. This is our mulberry tree, which between the little kids and the birds, I didn't get one. But that's okay. Orange is finally growing. So we'll see if we get anything out of that anytime soon. Macadamia nut tree is now taller than my head, which is great. We have a small fig here. This is our peach here, which we've never seen fruit. Is our mandarin tree, which has fruit. For the second time we've had fruit before, but we didn't get many. There's not many on this one. But that will be exciting. I do love mandarins. This is the other side of that grapefruit. It is overflowing with grapefruit. I only needed a couple today, but we will be getting more soon and giving some away. So that's the current state of the garden. That's where we're at. That's the bits and pieces I needed to harvest today. Thank you for spending time with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, now you've seen where we're at, the beginning of autumn, end of summer, where the garden's sitting. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to see some other things I'll be making with these foods. Join me on Instagram if you want to see that rockmelon be cut open. I'll try to remember to put it on YouTube as well. Thank you so much to everyone who said such beautiful comments. You're all amazing. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming with me. The weather is turning on me, so I'm not going to be out here much longer. It's a shame because I really did want to get, it's a shame I really wanted to get that dirt put in that garden bed up there, but that's okay. I still need to go to the shops. I need to get some more manure. So I might come out here either this afternoon or tomorrow, finish pulling out flowers that need to come out, get that dirt put into the beds that needs it, and then hopefully my seeds will arrive soon and we can get them sown and get ready for another hopeful bumper crop coming into our prime growing season. Mind you, I am stoked with this. Like, that is awesome. That is so good because I really didn't put a whole lot of effort into the summer gardening. And these are things that, you know, yes, they're fruit trees and things like that, but it's food I haven't had to buy. That's awesome. I'm so stoked with it. Have a fantastic week. Join me here next week for my next video, and you guys are the best, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. So there's a bit of citrus, passion fruit, my rockmelon. That basket's going to carry my carrots inside for me.